Hello, everyone. My name is Ryder Eye Sniper. I'm joined by Oregon Mike, and we are here with this game 2 of the Highway to the Zemus Zone 6 Brackets Round of 16 game between Pankraz and Frankie Bones. We've got Judge Joe pushing the buttons for the tracking, and we've got Scar running things behind the scenes. Mike, these two runners, they're going to be opening up a few more treasure boxes than they normally would be, because we're looting for keys tonight.
Sounds like fun. It's first time I have commentated a looting for keys seed, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. And I'm looking at those objectives. We are going to need to find some key items wherever they might be.
Yeah, in particular, that Baron key gating 2 objectives today, so that'll be one that'll have a lot more value than normal. These runners will need to get 6 of these 8 objectives they have at their disposal, so they're going to be, anytime you can get two for one item, that's a big help. And we do have a interesting hero tonight, as we have everybody's favorite bard, Edward.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting place to start. As a bard myself, I approve, though the runners may feel differently, I'm sure. But yeah, just looking at the key items that are necessary to get through these. Yeah, we've got 2 gated off by the Baron key. The hook is obviously necessary to launch the Falcon. We need the tower key to destroy the super cannon. We'll need the darkness crystal to even get to the white spear altar. Twin harp for Cave Magnus, and the pan if we're going to return it, and of course the legend sword and the adamant. And we have one of the twins and Rubicant giving them a tiara to start.
Tiara, very good defensive gear for our female mages, so nice to have that. But yeah, I think these runners are going to be opening up boxes, looking for a dancing dagger for Edward to get a little bit of power going, because offense. This is not an offensive juggernaut to start off with.
Which twin is that?
That's poor.
That's Porum. So we've got a white mage and a bard. Perhaps not an ideal starting pair, but we are both going to Eblan Castle. Both runners headed to Eblan Castle to see what they might find in this in the loot here. A silent stick might be handy.
Yeah, sound stick is a good weapon for Porum. It is fairly accurate, fairly strong power, and it attacks the mage weakness. Both these runners are taking advantage of one of the differences here with the looting for keys flags variation on the tournament flags that we're using. Before game 1, these runners elected to choose this flag set out of a pool of available options, and this flag set will put key items in the monster boxes here in Eblan Castle and other places, but it also makes the monster boxes in their vanilla locations, so these runners can easily just charge through Eblan Castle safely and not have to worry about hitting the wrong, having to reset and start their looting from the beginning. So
that is a nuance I was not aware of and would not have picked up on, so thank you.
No problem. Yeah, no, this makes this a lot more efficient than going to some place like Watery Pass or elsewhere, because you can take advantage of the fact this is pretty good gear, even on the T-Pro flag that we have here that limits our gear. Yeah, looks like Pankraz already loading up that Porum now that she's got a halfway decent weapon, and I think he's found his offensive solution. I think the runners have found their offensive solution.
And no surprise here, Frankie headed to Mount Hobbs in order to see who that most likely third-party member will be. Pankraz also there. Frankie now doing his equipment up at that moment. We'll see who that boss is at the top of the mountain and who they are gating for a party member. And we see a Vanilla Young.
Yeah, Young doesn't start off very strong. Once you get some levels on him, his damage scales quite nicely. But this is, we got some nice gear for like a cane. I think I saw a Gungnir spear in Evelyn Castle. That would
You
have
did.
been very nice to have. But Jan can use those starting Thor rages, so that'll help in this fight.
Yeah, Leviathan at the top of Hobbs. That big wave not doing much damage, as it is based on the maximum hit points of the targets.
Yeah, it is gonna be. You can see the Ice 2 is not doing a whole lot of damage, but still enough to take out these base level characters. So, gonna probably want to try and get some of these people up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we'll see. Frankie might be having a problem here. He's down to just Yang throwing Thor ranges around. Pankraz still has the whole party intact, or at least on their feet. And Pankraz is through the Leviathan and will be claiming that first boss and the first character to add to the party. Frankie in a bit of a rush here to get Yang healed before the Ice 2 comes out and does not make it. Wipes to Leviathan. But if at first you don't succeed, try again. Pankraz headed over to the Antlion Cave, it looks like.
Young starting out with that Charm Claw, not his best piece of equipment given the rather poor accuracy it has. They're gonna be looking to upgrade that. These runners are gonna be looking to upgrade that claw as quickly as they can.
We seem to be finding a lot of Dragoon equipment. I wonder if the seed is going to also favor us with a cane.
Yeah. Kane, Sid, and Cecil can all use that, and those lunar monster boxes have a few dragons, and got a vanilla antlion here in Antlion Cave.
With the levels got from taking Leviathan off of Mount Hobbs, this should be not too much trouble, I would think. Though that counter still has a bit of a bite to it.
Yeah, but you notice that Pankraz shifted a bunch of strength boosting gear onto that Yang to help him get a little bit more power on those power strikes as Frankie gets a Yang of his own, as well as a measure of revenge in that Leviathan.
Yeah, that fight seemed to go a little bit smoother. And the Antlion is down for Pankraz, and we'll see what key item that monster was guarding.
That's
the Darkness Crystal, yeah. Well, that means that the Vanilla White Spear Altar is now an option. More importantly, possibly for this party, there's a free character sitting up there on the throne.
Pankraz going into a not very commonly checked box here in the Antlion Cave and getting a Thunderclaw. Considering the number of bosses that are weak to lightning, that's a very nice find.
And Frankie's headed down to the Antlion Cave as well. Pankraz looks like he's going to check the waterfall. Reasonable.
Yeah.
The Mist Dragon could be hiding here.
Yep, that is still active in this flag sets with our variation of the living bracket, but just a Kanatsu. We do not have to beat up a turtle today.
And it does mean that we won't find that Kanatsu elsewhere in the seed.
Always a good thing.
I have definitely seen some rather nasty Kanatsus gating off some rather nasty spots.
Oh yeah, and that wave attack doing 4 to 6% of its HP, in the wrong spot can just make life miserable for the runners. So personally, I'm happy to see it in a nice out of the way location.
And Pankraz launching the Lunar Whale.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Mike, going to get that character check potentially. Also, the Hummingway shop is available, so might be able to get some tier 3s or cabins or other items that are gated behind the underground or other items. So as Frankie
And
getting
Frankie has the darkness crystal as well. And we'll probably head it off to Mysidia to do the same. We have some kamikazes in the Mysidia item shop. Can be used in a number of fights to help take party members out of the battle.
can help take party members out of the battle, can be used on certain locations where there's a crumble animation for the boss to save a few seconds. So if you can time it right and get the final blow with it, so nice to have a handful.
And we have
Thank you.
have a raid from the Queen is Lost. Thank you, raiders, for coming by and watching for tonight. And in that lunar throne, we will see, drumroll please, flashing colors please. We're doing all the production numbers tonight, and we have Sid.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw. I don't know what we saw as far as weapons for Sid, but especially in the early game, Sid with an axe or an earth hammer can do a lot of damage and get through these early checks. Not to mention, it's somebody that can wear that dragoon armor and be a nice little tank be a nice little tank for some of these fights. So, not a bad find at this point in the game.
And in the Hummingway shop, we find Ether 2s and Hermes. Part of me, just the horrible deviant part of me really wants to see one of them check that vanilla white spear altar to see if it's a free fight. But also knowing that at this point in the game, even the free fights aren't free.
As I say, the only fight they could probably take with this party right now would be King Queen Evelyn, because they could hide Edward if he does and go from there. But
yeah, with the magic power there, that fire spell could do a lot of damage.
But without a source of exit, I don't see. I know I wouldn't have a lot of appetite to go to the lunar subterrane without and have to walk all the way out.
No, it's like I said, it's just the horrible little deviant part of me. It would be funny to watch it pay off, but I don't think anyone in their right mind would actually take that as an option.
Not yet. That would be a very bold play that I would love to see pan out, but yeah, that'd be a very bold play.
Might be something to do if you'd spent 10 minutes beating your head against Leviathan, or the antlion had been particularly nasty to you and thinking you're way behind, trying for a Hail Mary to try and get it back in the game. xPankraz is going to check in the Fabul Gauntlet to see who is there and what they're doing. It's a Sparkle, and D. Lunar is hiding there at the Fabul Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Frankie, meanwhile, giving us a check at Bahamut Cave to see who's there.
I do like this. It's a shorter walk. You can just face check it real quick and go from there. And
That is Valvelis.
that's not what you like to see at that spot.
One Lunar Dragon down for xPankraz, and the other Lunar Dragon down. Success. And the Fabul Gauntlet will yield some item or other, hopefully to give us a little bit of directions where to go next in the seed.
Oh.
The hook. Launch the Falcon is on the list, and that would get us underground.
Yeah, we're still getting we're getting some of our objectives on the board. We'll also have a path to the entire map if you know that could be what what this seed has decided is the path to the underground. So
Hmm.
again, another character check, and a couple more shops as well. So um, looks like Pankraz is going to go cash that in and see what's there. There are also two monster boxes on that path. So opens up some extra character, opens up some key item checks that normally wouldn't be available without the monster boxes in play.
I think the only other key item check would be Baron available right now would be Baron Inn.
Neither runner has done ordeals, if I remember correctly.
That's true. I apologize. That's absolutely right.
Though it does look like Pankraz has ordeals in mind as well, so going to be getting that Sid back row glitched so he can do full damage from the back row and and get the full benefit of the defensive bonus there.
Ooh, Rosa is hiding there. And a blue robe to open up.
Yeah, that'll be the water hag because it's only one there, so 3 hits and the water hag goes away, which may actually be a little bit longer than this fight normally would be.
Kind of a waste of a water hag in that fairly easy first Baron Inn spot.
Yeah, because of the script, being 3 hits and it goes away, uh, that can be a very welcome sight once you have some defense and can handle the punches. But here, yeah, no, like you said, it's a waste of that water hag. And Pankraz is through as frankiebones is working through the Fabul, the D-luners at Fabul.
And he has put Starveils up on his party to turn those D-luners into frogs with their own breath attack. And meanwhile, Mum Bomb is our second fight in the Baron Inn, so that's going to be a little longer than you would usually find in this particular spot.
Yeah, using those using those kamikazes to have Sid chip in because that 788 damage at this stage is gonna get through to the point where it'll get the mom bomb to go to the exploding phase, which I think that's really what the plan is to get through this part and then deal with the bombs. As frankiebones finishes off the lunar frogs, and we'll be getting the hook.
Now, if this does not provide obvious forward progression or the magma key, do you chance ordeals, or do you head for the hook?
That's a good question. I think I would check. I'm more prone to doing the ordeals check because I just am more thorough in my routing than a lot of runners. It's 3 chances to get the Mist Dragon, which can be a big, which can swing things if something's there, and my opponent were to put off the ordeals check. But there is obviously a very strong case for checking the shop, getting some better loot and gear, and then checking the character there. And then you can also look at the boss in the second the Rubicon in the Rubicon spot and go from there and make a decision, because that can obviously change plans very quickly.
For sure. Frankie looting the town of Silvera. And Pankraz is taking out some bombs. So this fight should be in the bag at this point.
Yeah, the bombs here don't have that much HP, so it's just a matter of clearing them out and getting through before the explosions come in. Adding Rosa to the party, and also getting a Dragon Whip for Iridia that we will see at some point, potentially.
Yep. So now Pankraz has 2 white mages, and a full party of 5 characters. And the only directly obvious forward progression is the hook, though Mount Ordeals remains a location for a key item. And there's also possibly the Mist Dragon hanging around somewhere.
Yeah, we do have we do have the monster boxes. So there are the boxes in Evelyn Castle, as well as the Flame Dog chest that's in the Tower of Zot, and also the 2 on the hook route. So there is a possibility that there are a few other options. Nice samurai bow. I don't mind that for either Rosa, Sid, or Edward at this point. On Pankraz's side.
Yes, it's my mistake, forgetting about the monster boxes. Again, I've not commentated one of these seeds where you can find key items in the monster boxes before, and I like to point out that I haven't played a seed in years. Last time I played a seed, I had to find the crystal, not get it off of objectives, so I'm a little behind the times, but I'm working on it, and I'm really enjoying commentating these seeds, so I'm having a great time.
Yeah,
hopefully I'm helping other people have a great time too.
Oh yeah. I play a lot of the monster box key items and monster boxes with one of our community clubs that we have available through the free enterprise community, the Toroyan Tango, where I'm heavily carried by Venicus throughout the club season, in a 2 versus 2 in a 2-person async. We do see some divergence from the runners here. Frankie is doing the ordeals check while Pankraz is taking a look at the hook route and seeing what the character and the boss is. Notably, I think both runners picked up a rune axe, which is very nice for that Sid. And also our tracker, Judge Joe, pointing out the charm arrows and the cat claw, which is great for Yang. And hey, we got
a little
Edge.
more vanilla, yeah. And that is the Magus Sisters at the Rubicon spot. And Bahamut as Ordeals 1.
Yeah, the silence. We found a few silence stabs. We found rune axe. That's nice to see going into that Magic Sisters fight. Meanwhile, Frankie Bones, we'll see if he can do enough damage to get through this Bahamut fight, or if he'll need to put up a Star Veil to reflect the Mega Nukes and let Bahamut take care of things that way.
And Pankraz leaving Sid behind for that edge.
Yeah, Sid with Edward being the hero, Edward is a relatively fast character, so characters that do not have a high agility, like Sid in particular in this flag set, he's going to struggle to get as many turns at times. So I can see getting rid of him over Yang, who has decent good agility and can be augmented by that cat claw. And
we have Octomam at Ordeals 2. Frankie took out Bahamut before the counter hit 1, so nice and clean fight there. And now Octomam should not be too tricky here. It's not a particularly fast spot to begin with, I don't think, and she'll continually be slowed down.
Yeah, this spot does cheat a little bit because it'll get the first strike due to the back attack that from Mylon Z surprising the party in the vanilla game. But, you know, beyond that, you've got Sid hitting for almost 700 damage, so we got the defensive and the offensive capabilities to take out this boss pretty well.
And Pankraz looking at the Staleman chest and just getting a strength ring out of it. Octomam going down on Frankie's side.
I don't mind that strength ring, especially for that Yang, because again, Yang's damage is based off of his strength stat. So anything you can do to get that scaling upwards, he's gonna be able to help out a lot more much sooner.
And Frankie is going to give us a look at who is hanging around waiting for Edward in the changing room at the top of Mount Ordeals.
Yeah, this
And
is going to
what's
be
the item?
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what Frankie has for weapons on that Edward, so this could, depending on depending what he picked up. If I missed something, he might be able to. He should be in decent shape, but if he's still working like a crossbow or something like that, damage could be a challenge.
The package, a potential fifth party member for Frankie. And we've got some guards.
Okay, this isn't too bad. The officer-soldier fight will get 3 attacks off, but they don't hit that hard. And our Restreamer Scar pointing out that Edward has charm arrows, which are pretty powerful arrows, and will at least make up for the damage output. And yeah, only needing 100 damage on each of these soldiers, so letting the officer run away, there's no experience at this spot, so there's absolutely no penalty to let them walk.
And while there is no Tella in this flag set, if we find a Cecil, then he will be a paladin. At least Frankie's Cecil will be a paladin.
Which is always nice to have, because even though Cecil will not, it's harder to find the holy swords in this flag set with the T-Pro flag on. Cover Cecil is a wonderful thing.
Pankraz checking the Staleman and Skull chest in Eblon, and seeing whether this might be holding something important.
Yeah, I do think chat pointing out that Pankraz has put those cat claws on Edge to make him even faster, so he can get that flame off before the skulls get any turns. So very nice use of the equipment available there.
It looks like Frankie is going to go and collect Rosa from the Baron Inn.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Edge didn't have those on. Okay, sorry. frankiebones working through the water hag and making his way through to get ready to fight the Mom Bomb fight, as Pankraz taking on the always tricky Black Cat Lamia chest.
And looks like missed an attempt at a life glitch there. Looking for a little bit of extra experience.
Yeah, these chests do have pretty good experience, so it's, if you can get it to work out, that's very nice to have.
Hold it off the second attempt. For any of our watchers who do not know, when you use Life 1 or a Life Potion on a target, it gets revived with 5 times the Vitality stat in hit points. The catch being that no monsters in the game have any Vitality stat, which means they get revived with 0 hit points, and you get credited for a second kill because they die again immediately.
Well, there is a key item here in Eblin Castle, as the Luca key is behind that Black Cat Lamia chest. So that will be another option available for these for Pankraz once he gets underground.
And Pankraz's going to try the Mad Ogre fight for a bit, while Frankie goes punching at Mum Bomb. And through the Explode phase and into the 6-bomb phase, while Pankraz takes out some rather angry-looking giants and gets a good life glitch off on them. Good way to boost the experience early.
And you'll notice that Pankraz is keeping Rosa down to allow for potential slingshot later. If your character is less than 5 levels, is more than 5 levels below the average of the rest of the party, they will get double experience. So, keeping her in a situation where he can supercharge her experience very quickly.
Yeah, that double experience bonus can very easily take a low-level character and shoot them right past high-level characters in terms of experience, given a major grind fight.
Now we did see something very interesting on that mad ogre chest. There was an Avenger in there, which is a extremely powerful weapon for Kane and Cecil. That auto inflicts the berserk status and just lets those characters go wild with melee attacks.
It looks like Pankraz is setting up for a grind. I would guess that's what he is doing. Roddy, do you have any insight on that? I don't fully understand what's happening here, but I know that it is something to do with step routing and how the encounters happen and where they'll be in the Giant of Babel. So if you have any more insight on that, I'd be happy to hear it.
So the community has gone through and determined what enemy encounters will be coming up next based on how the RNG is seeded. And by taking encounters and seeing how many steps they will come up, you know that in 1, 2, 3, 4 fights afterwards, if you go to the Giant, because the Baron area has the same encounter, it has roughly the same encounter table. You can go up there, and your next fight will be the fight that you're looking for. So, going through Pankraz, getting that set up, is ready for the fight, and yep, seeing the Searcher here in this part of the Giant means that this Searcher will summon the Mac Giant that has become very much commonplace during this flag set.
And frankiebones finding edge in the lower parts of the Evelyn Cave system.
Yeah, frankiebones following a little bit in Pankraz's footsteps here, mainly because of the ordeals check. So, going through and making the same decision as far as taking edge over the Cid again. Though I don't think Frankie took the Staleman chest, which we know is just a strength ring, which nice to have, but not necessary.
No, Frankie seems to be not looting anything, and having exit just warped himself back to the surface.
Pankraz, since those Eblin Castle the monster boxes were enough experience to get Blink on Porum, is able to get that up in the party and make it so these Mac Giants, which hit very, very hard, will miss twice for each cast. So, making this fight a very dangerous fight, much safer. Also, taking advantage of those Thunder Claws and using those life glitches that you talked about earlier to shorten this fight up. Some discussion in chat how long Pankraz is going to go with this. We do have a lot of options. We do have the moon open to us. We do have a lot of treasure. We have a lot of treasure chests with very powerful and very experience-rich monsters in there. So may not do grind to get white onto his white mages, but might still be looking to get at least roasted cure for.
Frankie now checking out the trapped chests in Evelyn Castle, I believe.
Yep. Again, makes perfect sense. You need experience. These monster boxes are very good experience, especially for this point where the party is. And this is because you know where the monster boxes are. You can kind of take them in an order that makes sense. And Edge with Flame, able to wipe out those skulls very quickly and just leave the still very dangerous Staleman. Unfortunately, that is a scary enemy on its own. But so hopefully he can get through this with Edge.
Well, Edge looks like he's a little more solid at the moment than the rest of the team.
Yeah, and I know they found I know both runners found a ninja hat earlier, and so that will prevent against the sleep status the Staleman can inflict, and using the charm status of himself, and very nicely getting through that fight.
xPankraz still killing Mac Giants. Again, it's not until little anecdote I tell, not until I started commenting these seeds that I realized that Mac is short for machine and that they weren't just Scottish.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what's in their hydraulic system. It could very well be Iron Brew.
It's a good point. It's absolutely a good point. Half the chat going, yeah, we've heard them say that before. I only have so many jokes.
So one thing that xPankraz is doing that is very, very heads up is Rosa is not going to be helping out much in this fight as far as damage. Edward, Edge, and Yang all have weapons that are gonna attack the weaknesses of the Mac Giant. So Rosa got knocked down, just letting her take a break and sit this one out until it's time to wrap up the fight. And out of charm arrows in that Edward though. Gonna revive her at the very end to make sure she gets all the experience, but not take up turns. So very much a smart call there. As frankiebones in the Luca key from the Black Cat Lamia chest.
And challenging the Mad Ogres. The Mad Ogres qualify as mages, do they not, for the purposes of weaknesses?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you have a mute knife or the silent staff or mute arrows, you can make very quick work of them, as well as any of the mage resisting gear.
We've found several silent staffs so far in this seed. So poor may be doing a little bit of work.
Yeah, they are also giants as well, as you can see that Charm Claw doing quad damage as well on the Mad Ogres, so always nice to speed up fights by attacking those weaknesses. And that'll be the Avenger for frankiebones, which doesn't have a wielder at the moment.
And xPankraz finishing the grind, getting 421,000 experience. And the real prize here is the levels that will go on to Rosa. 39 of them.
Yeah, that should be more than enough for that Cure 4 spell. Yep, there it is. And then yet
Wall life
enough
2
for
and
white
white
as well, so She's fully online, and the most important part of the Mac Giant of a Mac Giant grind, turning encounters off after you're done.
Yeah, encounters in the Giant of Babel are no joke, so you definitely don't want to be taking unnecessary fights in here.
Absolutely not.
Even if
Oh,
Edge did get smoke.
yeah, no, that's Frankie Bones also doing their step manipulation here to get ready to go to the giant, and as Pankraz gonna be taking on the last arm chest.
This would definitely be an interesting place for there to be some key item hiding.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're not gonna you're the completing the giant is not an objective. You've got the firepower to take it out. You're here. This is the best chance to do it. And there
Magma
is the
key.
magma
Well,
key. So the hook route can be put off. It is not our mandatory underground access.
wouldn't it be fun if the second giant boss was the Mist Dragon, gating some important progression forward?
That's certainly a possibility. There could absolutely be a nasty chain behind the Mist Dragon there.
Mist Dragon holding the Baron Key, which gates off Tower Key and or Twin Harp or the Pan.
I'm not the type of commentator that likes to wish that on people because I've been there and I didn't like having it wished upon myself.
Not a wish, just speculation.
Frankie finding silk webs at Agart. I really do like grabbing a stack of those whenever you can, because those are great ways of slowing down any enemy. Puts two stacks of slow on to all the enemies. Great way of making a fight a lot more manageable. So it looks like Frankie does have the step manipulation.
And of course, the hook route does still provide us with one of our objectives in launching the Falcon, so we might see our runners do that regardless.
Yeah, they may still do it, but I'm gonna agree with our restreamer star here. I'm gonna put that off until the end, just because it's 2 fights, Maga Sisters, not the easiest fight. So I think
and no progression underneath it either. It's not like it gives you a key item.
No, it just routes you into checking the 4 Mad Ogre chest in the actual tower itself that I don't think either of these runners have checked. So, that would be the only incentive to go do that. But, obviously this magma key giving a lot more options.
And Frankie into the Mac Giant grind with challenging a searcher there, and Pankraz into the town of summon, or headed into the cave of summon monsters, headed down towards Monster Town.
Yeah, probably gonna make a quick detour at the swordman chest, just because, again, vanilla boxes, we know where it's at, so can heal up, and after all these damage tiles do their thing and just be nice and fresh to go and try to find another key item here. You see Frankie also getting those blinks up on his party, and noticing also leaving Rosa unblinked so she can take a hit and take a break.
There's a request for a recap in the chat. I think we've got a little bit of time to do that. We obviously started with Edward and Porum, and Rubicant handed off. It was not a key item, it was a tiara that started us off. Wound our way through to check for equipment before getting Young at Hobbs and then finding the Darkness Crystal at Antlion. And from there, it's just been sort of wandering about, finding Rosa at the Baron Inn, and it was Sid sitting in the throne and the Lunar Throne, and Edge in his usual place in Eblin Cave.
Yeah, the big divergence is that Frankie has taken the time to do ordeals and get that package, so has its Cecil set up and has that extra key item. But kind of following in Pankraz's footsteps. Other than that,
there is a slim possibility that package does gate forward progression if the boss behind it happens to be the Mist Dragon.
Yeah, and I did miss, was there anything in the Swordman chest?
I didn't see it.
Oh no, we have the Twin Harp. Thank you, our tracker has that lit up. That the Twin Harp is there. That's very
Perfect.
nice to
Thank
see.
you.
That is another objective that we have at our disposal. And always a fan favorite. Yeah, thank you.
But sometimes not a runner favorite. We have two heroes standing in our way here at the Cave of Summoned Monsters. We've got Dark Knight Cecil and a Karate in the place of the Queen, and Dark Knight in the place of the King. And this Dark Knight is going to be putting out damage. And putting it out pretty quick.
However, with the grind that Pankraz has already done, enough to take at least the first two dark waves here, and then finding those Cure 3s in the shops, able to take a third one, and Dark Knight Cecil gives his Toastmaster speech and goes off into the night.
Someday we will see. And just a Drain Spear.
Yeah. Nice, a nice dart first for Edge, but that's about it.
I was going to mention, with that Edge, that might be a handy dart, but... Vampires and Illusions were available there.
Yeah, you saw Pankraz pick up a stack of those because those allow a character to apply Blink to themselves, which takes some of the pressure off of Porum and Rosa as far as getting the party set up. They can just start zerking up characters and get the damage going a few turns faster.
I think Pankraz may be setting up to take on that Karate. See what we have behind that Queen of Summon Monsters spot.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You're here, you've got the experience from the grind, just get it out of the way and never return.
Well, with having to accomplish 6 of our 8 goals, if they don't want to have to go through the hook route and launch the Falcon, we need that Baron key, so wherever it might be, worth taking a look.
So one thing to note on frankiebones' side, Pankraz was able to keep Edward going and get an extra 1,200 or so damage per turn on those Mac Giants with the charm arrows and the samurai bow that he had. Frankiebones electing to keep Edward down and letting just Yang and Edge take care of things, and that's absolutely enough damage output to do that. But it is making that grind go a little bit slower.
And the Karate goes down for Pankraz, and we'll see what the Queen is holding on to here.
Just a life staff, so going to reset out of that. See where Pankraz goes next. Our tracker Judge Joe pointing out that that Pankraz has has faded a few checks. We still have the Flame Dog and Zot, as well as the Mad Ogres along the hook route, and the Ordeals check that frankiebones has done. He is up a game. He is able to kind of play a little bit more aggressively because, you know, he has a game. He has a game to give. If he strikes gold on one of these checks, he can put this away. But can be a little bit more aggressive.
And Frankie has revived Rosa, so I think he's probably coming to the end of his Mac Giant grind here.
Yeah, I think he was hoping that Avenger would be enough to that Avenger Dirt would be enough to take out the Searcher, but didn't quite do enough. The Avenger doesn't have a very high amount of attack power. It gets most of its benefit from the stat boost that it gives and the auto berserk.
Pankraz checking the sealed cave with that Luca key that was found. frankiebones finishing the grind, the same 421,000 experience that Pankraz got, and probably the same 39 levels for Rosa. And there is some progression for Pankraz. The tower key, which leads directly to the super cannon.
Yeah, no, that's very nice. That's very nice to have. It is an objective. It also lets you clear out the entirety of Lower Babel to include the 4 monster boxes that where the sirens are. So that's a lot of that's a lot of checks that Pankraz can do and get a full clear. Not to mention the top of tower check at the Dr. Luque spot. So that's 6 opportunities right there for Pankraz.
And we have Calbreda in the evil wall spot. These dolls unlikely to crush our team as well as the wall does. Though I imagine if they fuse together and then fall on you, it could hurt.
Yeah, the big doll still is gonna be a lot spicier than the Cals and the Brenas, but again, we're in our 40s in experience here. I'm not.
Rosa bringing out the white.
Yeah, just obliterating one of the dolls with that for 5,000 damage, and Jan cleaning up here. So, very nicely done there. And that will let Pankraz take the long walk out of here, and guessing going to Lower Babel at this point.
Well, you've got the key for the super cannon objective. Well, why not? And frankiebones checking the last arm chest wisely, as it turns out, because we know that's where the magma key is.
Frankie's going to be very happy to see that magma key. The hook route is an objective, but again, if you can find a faster path to victory that doesn't involve a long walk and 2 bosses and cutscenes, you're happy to take it.
This last arm giving him a bit of trouble, it looks like. But destroys itself and does a little bit of damage to Rosa. And there's the magma key for frankiebones. And good call. Pankraz headed towards the Tower of Babel to get our first objective on the board, I'm sure.
Again, already equipping that Thunderclaw, going to clear out these checks. Again, this is the easiest density check that he has available. He can clear out all these sirens very quickly. Yeah, just not even over double the damage. So, and getting another objective
rewarded immediately. Yeah. And frankiebones headed to the moon, possibly to check that vanilla white spear altar.
This makes a lot of this makes a lot of sense. There are all of our lunar bosses are in the pool. If Frankie feels comfortable taking on the monster boxes here, going after one of them right now in the what we call the hair dryer's chest here. So getting healed up after that grind. Uh, this is good for Frankie because if that Baron Key is here, that is potentially a path to victory that he might be able to find before Pankraz does, going through the blue planet.
And if you're feeling behind, just psychologically, if you're feeling like you're a step behind, you want to try and do something that your opponent is not going to do or is not expected to do. So, I don't know, if I'm Frankie, maybe I'm looking at that magma key and thinking that Pankraz probably went underground seeing that, so I'd better go somewhere else.
Yeah, good. There's a good chance there because chat pointing out, our Judge Joe, our tracker, pointing out that Pankraz is very close to go mode right now. He has the Twin Harp for the Magnus objective, the hook for that Launch Falcon objective, the Vanilla White Spear is available. Just needs the Baron Key or both halves of the Forge, and he's ready to get the crystal and go fight Zeromus. So
We got a couple guards guarding the super cannon, who will go down very easily. This spot does not have hit points. But we won't get to see what key item it holds until Pankraz leaves the tower, unfortunately.
yeah, I would expect Pankraz to go and at least look at the boss at the top of the tower, if not completing it, but likely completing it.
Well, so this close to go mode and this powerful, yeah, I wouldn't fade any check that I'm this close to, physically close to. In the other chests, there was a white robe, and there was a defense sword. It's gone from my memory at this point.
Yeah, I
Oh, we
didn't
got a
see,
lunar
I didn't
sparkle up
see
there.
any other yellow text either. So
We got a lunar sparkle at the top of the tower. And we'll see just who that happens to be. And it's my Canadian brethren, Ogopogo.
yeah, not a fun boss in pretty much any location because those double big waves just take off 50% of your max HP right there. So, big ouch.
And Frankie taking on the Warlocks and the Carry in the Lunar Subtrain. And I'm just realizing that this team does not have any way to output significant amounts of black magic damage.
No, they're going to be relying on melee damage from Edge and Yang. With two white mages in the party, you can take advantage. You can Zerg strats for fights are a lot more feasible. We don't have access to Bacchus wines normally in this flag set that just allow runners to get their party members going quickly. So having two white mages lets you get those get those melee fighters go nice and angry and up to their full potential.
And I missed what Ogopogo was guarding.
That was the rat tail.
The rat tail.
So,
wow.
Another quick check that can be done on the way to other options we have, because Pankraz does have the pan, so he can go through and do that. And there's a shiny holy sword on frankiebones' side that'll be a very good dart for Edge.
And Pankraz will be finding out what the super cannon gets us in terms of key item, while frankiebones is checking out the Muramasa altar. And it's the evil wall, in a not particularly kind spot.
Yeah, the evil wall still will hit pretty hard here, and evil wall cheats, so it takes turns faster than it normally would. So it is a difficult. It can be a difficult fight, but again, once the berserkers get going, one of the benefits of that is that they just immediately take their turns, so they end up clogging the queue a little bit and slowing down the bosses. So you can take advantage of that to make this more manageable. Pankraz not taking the Toad Lady chest in the Sylph Cave. Maybe looking at that lack of AoE from our lack of black magic casters and saying, I've got enough. I've got key or main item checks that are slightly better chance of hitting. So let's rely on those. And Pink Tail from the Sylphs as they watch you bonk yawn. So very nice to get.
And that pink tail also puts Pankraz at 10 key items, which, if it mattered, would mean that all experience Pankraz picks up now is doubled.
Oh, we missed something important while we were talking. We were distracted by the scary wall. Eddie has a spoon.
That's true.
So that is one of the tweaks that we make in the randomizer, where there's a flag that can be turned on where Edward, our spoony bard, can equip the spoon, and that is a weapon that is 255 attack power.
And there's a crystal sword and a cat claw behind our two tails.
Yeah, without a Cecil in that party, we already have plenty of cat claws, and the crystal sword is an amazing weapon if you have Cecil, but it's just a very large paperweight, because Edge can't even throw it. So.
And frankiebones is through the evil wall. I was about to comment that that wall was getting awfully close there, but it just gets a life staff for it.
Yeah, not what you want to get at. Not what you want to be hitting at this point in time.
Sheila 1 has the pass and a dragon whip. So.
Nice. Pass is great to see. Pankraz is likely going to be wrapping up, unless the Baron Key shows up. Pankraz is likely going to be doing the White Spear altar last, but does potentially open up the option to come back to the Blue Planet and check out and go through the pub in Troya.
With all the other key items, if all the other key items show up, there may not be necessary to go to the moon at all. Though I imagine that the White Spear altar is probably preferable to, or probably more readily available than the Legend Sword and the Adamant, but we'll find out, I suppose. All depends on where that Baron Key happens to be hiding.
Yeah, I think that's the big one. I think that's the big one right now. I honestly, I probably would do the White Spear altar over the hook route if I had the Baron Key in hand and had my choice of a final objective. But yeah.
And Pankraz is going to challenge the Dark Elf, or Dark Elf's replacement, and we will see what music the Twin Harp is going to provide us with. The community has something over 500 tunes inserted into the randomizer. It will pick one at random, or one was picked at random when the seed was generated. And traditionally, we duck out of the way and let the music speak for itself. So catch you on the flip side of this one. And we don't even get a full loop of that. Lovely tune from Chrono Trigger before finding the vanilla earth crystal.
Yeah, that's an interesting option for Pankraz because that Flame Dog chest is on the way to cashing that in. That is a second check on that path that might make it a little bit more interesting than it normally would be. So we'll see. You're right here. May just go and cash it in.
And frankiebones is challenging Asura at the White Spear altar. So this will be probably not the fastest of fights, but with both white mages having wall, we shouldn't have to worry about the queen healing herself.
Yeah, this is where the lack of mage killing gear here is going to be unfortunate. Frankie, like you said, Frankie should be able to get through this fight with having Asura walled up, but it'd be really nice for that edge to have a mute knife and do 4 times the damage. Because one thing I haven't really seen on either side here is strong gear for edge.
And the Flame Dog just giving us a wizard robe. Asura, meanwhile, is pretty punchy in this spot. She's hitting pretty hard. Edward taking a big shot. And at Zot 1, Pankraz will be finding another Lunar Sparkle. Hailed him. This should be pretty quick and easy.
Yeah, Pankraz has the damage output here, and yeah, 4,000 on a power punch out of Young. That's about half. That's about half the HP at the hit points at this spot. So, yeah.
And then a white cast from Rosa to finish the job off there.
So, no dutes. Sorry, chat. Normally, Pale Dim will counter melee attacks with the slow spell and serenade us all with the dutes, and nothing today.
Frankie puts himself on the board, picking up a power robe and completing the vanilla white spear altar to get his first goal underhand at an hour and 7.
Yeah, very nice piece of gear. You'd love to see the strength boost that it gives, but yeah, especially since Frankie is at 5 key items still, he's really got to be sitting there hoping to start getting some of them quickly, because as a runner, you start to look at this and go, I don't know if I'm where the items are.
And the top of Zot had a duplicate Porum and Rydia, who was immediately dismissed by Pankraz. And we have the Gauntlet in Valvalis' spot.
This is the Fabul Gauntlet, but with the Alt Gauntlet flag on, so it will pull 5 fights from the enemy pool here in the Tower of Zot, which isn't going to pose much of a threat to this party.
Frankie, meanwhile, has entered into the Ribbon Room and is fighting Dr. Lugai.
Yeah, this is a little unfortunate for Frankie because the experience here is split up between the 3 characters that show up in this, the Belknap Lugai and then the true form of Lugai. So the 100,000 experience here really ends up only being, I think, roughly a third of it. So hasn't done a full, has done a grind, is pretty good on levels, but okay, you're not going to get that extra little boost of power here that you normally would get.
xPankraz just letting his edge do some work with flame spells, wiping out this gauntlet one ninja cast at a time.
Yeah,
and now the real fight on Frankie's side.
Yeah, a good number of the enemies here in the Tower of Zot are weak to fire, so using that to make very quick work of the party of the enemy parties.
And just a longsword for traveling through Zot.
So I think that's the first real bust of a check that Pankraz has done, not hitting on either the Flame Dog or on the Earth Crystal. So giving a little bit of time back to frankiebones here as Frankie working through the lunar subterrane on an unfortunate sleep target there on Yang, since believe that Yang had been zerked up. But getting through the fight.
Blue guy goes down, yeah. xPankraz going to check the trap chest in the lunar path. We see a sand ruby. There's a key item.
Yeah, it adds the Frankie's count, but not likely going to be checking this because again, you're at endgame levels here. Rose is at level 51, Form's at level 48.
Yeah, there's not a lot of point in looking, even bothering to look, I wouldn't think. Judge Joe asking in chat, who would hard required Baron Key at 4 times max ogre chest benefit most? I would say whoever goes to launch the Falcon first.
Yeah, and given that Pankraz has done most everything on the blue planet at this point in time, that's likely going to be a last location. Pankraz electing not to do Dwarf Castle, electing not to complete the hook objective yet, and not doing the Sylv Cave checks. So very clearly making a decision based on the party and everything, just to say, I'll come back for those later if my opponent goes there first. Good on them.
Frankie checking out the Masamune altar and finding Plague has just moved up in the world, taken an apartment with slightly higher rent, and taken over Ogopogo's spot while Ogopogo was off vacationing. Those counts starting to come into play here, but those berserks filling up the battle queue, hopefully so that those counts don't tick down again.
Getting that Rosa up to make sure that Plague refreshes the count at least one more time, but fortunately not necessary.
Plague goes down, 60,000 experience. xPankraz just headed straight for that altar. Yeah, Plague also brought the White Spear with him when he went over there, I guess.
Taking a memento from the old job. Some people are sentimental like that.
Oh, xPankraz is going to check the Behemoth Cave, or Behemoth treasure chest, rather.
Yeah, I like checking the Behemoth chests. They're relatively easy fights they hit hard because they counter every melee attack with a hit, but with blink they're pretty well taken care of. Really only making sure that Edward is safe, because Edward's gonna be the main damage dealer thanks to that spoon.
And Frankie checking out the single warlock and 3 carry chest on the way back up. I suspect Frankie will be headed towards the Crystal Sword altar before leaving here.
Yeah, good chance. You don't want to have you don't want to have to come back and do this afterwards. You want to try and get as much of this cleared as possible before you go back to the blue planet. May decide not to do some of the monster boxes because the dragon chests are scary. Leaving another crystal sword behind.
So while you're up here, do you take Valvalis out in Cave Bahamut?
I think if I'm Pankraz and I've done the number of checks, I'm a little bit more inclined, because I know that there's a higher chance that something's there, but that's not a fun fight. It's not a fun fight. I would probably be hoping I would add that to the list of things that I'll come back for later if I have to.
Especially without Kane.
Well, you can berserk through the tornado and still get hits on it, so you don't need Kane in this situation. They're still going to be doing some pretty good damage. It's just a slower fight. And Edge can also dart things to get through that evasion as well to speed things up. I'm not upset about those Artemis bows, given the possibility of having to go fight those dragon chests that Pankraz is putting off for now, because that'll attack one of the dragon weaknesses.
And Frankie, through the behemoth chest, on the way up to the Crystal Sword, gets a Dragoon Spear.
A lot of good gear for Kane that we have yet to see.
Probably in his vanilla spot at the back of the Giant of Babel.
I think it's my turn to be rotten. That package that Frankie Bones has had since
Yeah.
The first half hour.
Baigen at the Crystal Sword altar. Not a nice place to find him.
This is a fairly punchy spot. The fact that you've got 3 attacks coming out at once, and ouch. Sorry, Edward.
Well, Frankie doesn't have the spoon, so Edward's not quite as important to the strategy here.
No, that is true. Missing out on that extra functional attacker that Edward is on Pankraz's side. Yes, our restreamer Scar pointing out that Frankie using those spears as darts very quickly, which is speeding up a lot of these fights, including that behemoth chest. That was 5,000 damage from the white spear on the behemoth, so is getting through some of those fights a lot faster by utilizing the items at his disposal.
And Baigen going armless for a little bit, while Pankraz challenging Asura for the White Spear altar.
Yeah, this is a fight you really wish you had a black mage for, because at this point in time they'd be able to cast Quake and use that AoE attack to keep those arms neutralized, but the Berserkers are doing a pretty good job of that themselves.
And Baigen has gone down, and just got a couple of arms floating in the air at the moment. The Wyvern doesn't have a huge amount of hit points, but has some pretty hefty other stats. And Azura has gone down for Pankraz. And a strength ring behind Baigen. So the subterranean not providing us a lot to go on. A sand ruby, but that's not going to help anyone finish this seed, really.
Yeah, no, not going to call it a haunted moon because we have a number of checks we haven't seen, but Pankraz has made his way through a number of the monster boxes here and not found anything either, so not the not may not be the path to victory here today.
Pankraz going after Lugai in the ribbon room. And Frankie going to be checking on some monster chests. Defossil in the Warlock. Defossil in the Warlock, the name of my next prog rock duo.
Nice job by Frankie getting the sleep to hit, getting lucky and getting the sleep on that warlock to take him out of the fight for the time being.
Pankraz on to the real fight. And some more Artemis arrows for frankiebones.
Yeah, we haven't... trying to think of what we haven't seen at this point in time. I don't think we've seen either of the dragon chests, and we haven't seen the red giant chest. We've seen both warlock carry chests. We've seen the warlock fossil chest, and we've seen the behemoth chest. So
here's the red dragon chest, and that Excalibur is going to find its way towards one of them.
Yeah, that'll
8,500 damage on that.
Yeah, nice. Speeding it up, getting rid of one of those dragons as quickly as possible.
Pankraz picking up the sand ruby.
That will potentially open up Frankie to do those heat ray attacks that the red dragons use when there's only one left. So that could get a little spicy, but 2 white mages should be able to manage the full party fractional attack. And yeah,
and Pankraz heading down to find Plague at the Masamuna altar.
About to get the disappointment there as well. Neptune and Olympus in chat pointing out the key item difference between the two is significant. And yeah, no, the blue planet was absolutely loaded, particularly the underground.
Yeah, the underground was heavy.
Pankraz hasn't full cleared, still has the monster boxes in Sylph Cave and the Dwarf Castle check to do, but very thorough on the blue planet as and being rewarded for it.
Whereas Frankie hasn't even gone underground yet. He's been, after his grind went straight up to the moon, and has been clearing it out with methodical precision, and finding, unfortunately, not a lot to help.
Yeah, it is, and unfortunate is the right word there, because, doing a very good job of getting through these fights, getting through all the bosses here on the lunar subterranean, making way through some of the difficult monster boxes here. So doing an excellent job, just not getting rewarded for it. But committing to, I don't ever want to come back here again if I don't have to. So let's just get it over with. Let's get it cleared out.
Mm-hmm. An interesting difference between the two, again with the key items, is that Pankraz is getting significantly more experience for these fights, which may make a difference if these two have a close run into Zeromus. Having the extra experience, the extra levels, may make a difference for Pankraz.
I'm not going to
But
get any
yeah,
experience for that for that Masamune spot because resetting out and saving the walk back.
yeah.
But yeah, no, both runners are ready for the final fight. They've Frankie's got the experience on his characters as well, so it's just a matter of
Oh, for sure, yeah.
it's just a matter of that extra, that little bit extra that Pankraz will be able to get per hit, and I think even bigger than that right now is that spoon. But Frankie will likely get that spoon because that was at the tower. That was at the tower, the super cannon room, if I remember correctly.
And red and blue dragons for frankiebones, one of the chests that Pankraz skipped past on the way down.
Yeah, our tracker pointing out runner XP is very close at the moment. You can see the HP totals for both these, for the runners, are pretty much identical. You know, both did their grind, got everything they need, got the bulk amount of the experience there, and Pankraz is resetting out of a lot of these fights, reset out of the experience at the Ribbon Room. So, a few levels here and there, but not a significant difference.
And dragons are no joke even for a party of this power. So
Yeah, no, this
Frankie,
is exactly why both these runners have kind of danced around the dragon chest, because that blizzard attack, fortunately pretty well mitigated, but if you're not prepared for this fight, it can take you out very quickly. Hey, we have yellow
item.
text.
Unfortunately, it's only halfway to one of the objectives, but it is something.
It is something. If Frankie can get the legend sword, and Pankraz decides I've had enough of the moon, that will be potentially an objective that will be faster than some of the other options. So something positive, something for Frankie there.
Also notable, with that legend, if finding the legend sword, though he would not know it yet, frankiebones would be in go mode.
Yeah, would still need to take that magma key and follow and get the.
It's still, but everything is. I guess that's a silly way of putting it, because everything's accessible to everyone at the start of the game. But I'm sorry, it's after midnight.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, we would know at least the path that he would have to take once he has that legend sword to get through everything.
Yes, that he would have his path to victory available. It's just a matter of going and doing the steps.
Yeah, you'd have to get the tower key from the sealed cave, and then you'd have the I can't remember where we found the twin heart, but it was in one of the monster chests, I think. But yeah, yeah. So we, if we find the legend sword, we're ready to go. Or if we find the Baron key, Pankraz is ready to go. Both runners now exiting out of the lunar subterrane.
Twirling towards the future.
I think Frankie might be headed towards Cave Bahamut to check on that Valvalis.
Yep, this is the commitment to clearing out the entire moon and just getting rid of the last piece of business here.
Frankie, of course, knows what's there. Pankraz has not checked it. And Pankraz going back in, I expect to look at the Muramasa altar.
Yeah, our tracker pointing out that Pankraz has just elected not to do the dragon chest, so uh, I did not see them either. So uh, that will be an adamant that Pankraz will not see. So
Which, depending on where the Baron key is, could make the difference. If Valvalis has it, for example.
yeah, that would be the biggest help to Frankie at this point in time, because Pankraz has done a lot of checks in the interim. Has a lot of objectives done. Has most of the path to victory charted out here. So it's just a matter of getting that last bit. So that would be that's kind of what Frankie needs to give himself time to catch up, as well as go on that path that we talked about earlier.
Scarster pointing out that if Frankie gets the Baron key first and the Baron key has the Legend Sword, Frankie has a solid shot of getting through. Until then, Pankraz, he says, has a commanding lead. And I mean, that is shown out in the key item totals and the goal totals. Unfortunately, the moon didn't provide as much help as one might have hoped, given the amount of checks that are available there.
Even with the monster boxes being in the pool, in the potential item pool, the moon. There's a lot of times when doing some of these seeds, you just sit here walking this whole thing, going, "How is there nothing here?" But other times it has the answers. So it's just the old saying, "Rando gonna rando."
Yep. Just the way it is. Valvalis goes down for Frankie Bones. And turns over a crystal ring.
And that'll be nice for speeding up one of those white mages, but again, not the progression we're looking for.
Just not the answer.
Yeah, in our restreamer Scar pointing out, K Moon and the Moon monster boxes, they don't seem to hit all that often. I think.
But Frankie can head back to the blue planet, secure in the knowledge that he has cleared the moon, and that all the answers must be on the blue planet somewhere. Pankraz just demolishing an evil wall.
Yeah, that is the loot and the little bit more of a power difference due to the ordering that you're seeing there. But yeah, just resetting out, saving the time to exit out. Yeah, we have seen most everything available. We have the D-Mist outstanding. We've got the Mad Ogre chest in Babel along the hook route. We have Dwarf Castle, and we have the 7 monster boxes in the Sylph Cave. It's going to be very interesting to see which of those runners heads to the location that has that last piece of the puzzle for him.
Definitely. Pankraz's going to take on Valvalis now and find further disappointment. Well, Frankie, at 93 minutes into the seed, is finally going underground. Again, one of the things I'm fond of noting is that neither of these runners have made any bad choices at all. There's there are choices that are right and wrong, but that's not determined by their quality. It's just a matter of making a bad guess, making an unfortunate guess, or or making a lucky one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Frankie had made a decision after doing the grind to say, "I am going to clear out the moon," and committed to it. Got the full clear. Just the moon didn't pan out today, so kind of playing catch up to xPankraz at the moment. But xPankraz also going and clearing out a good chunk of the moon as well, and you know having the same results, but so
It'll be interesting to see after this fight if Pancras goes back in to take on those dragon chests.
it's possible. I would be somewhat surprised because when you're down there and you're in the proximity, that's the best time to do something rather than take another long walk down there. I think this is on that list of things that xPankraz is going to say. If something was there and I lose because of it, I've got game 3. And yeah, heading back to the blue planet to clean up what's left.
Definitely hoping to find a Baron key, I would expect, somewhere. And just sweep that out and go straight to Toroya to use that pass to never see the moon again.
Yeah, no, that is one thing that helps xPankraz out a lot, is that twin harp, get Frankie Bones getting the twin harp out of the swordman chest, or the warrior chest, excuse me.
Pancras going to check the key item or the monster chests in the Sylph Cave. And finally, I get to find out what was in the free treasure chest in the monster cave. It was an ice brand. Nothing really worth writing home about, but still a sword. Probably a dart, I would expect.
I don't believe that ice brand can be darted.
Shows what I know.
So, xPankraz getting ready to do the Sylph Cave 6th here at the bottom.
And Frankie Bones taking on the queen of summoned monsters, who happens to be a Karate Yang.
As Frankie's Yang just says, "Is it punch? Let me show you how."
As a great poet of our time once said, kick, punch, it's all in the mind. And Pankraz's first monster chest has a Zeus gauntlet.
Yeah, that's always nice to have. Again, very very good strength boost, as well as the little bit of vitality as well. So very nice piece of equipment. Also very handy to have it before the Mac Giant grind, because it gives resistance to giants.
Frankie picking up a life staff and is probably going to challenge that Dark Knight Cecil at the King of Monsters spot. Yeah, just straight in, just buffing Yang's hit points to maximum and just counting on those 5,000 hit points to stand in the face of it.
So, I do like xPankraz coming down here. This is 6 checks all in very quick succession, so this is the density play. Nothing yet.
Halfway through and nothing to speak of. Frankie, meanwhile, takes out that Dark Knight Cecil. Yang standing strong. Justice is not the only right in this world. There is, in fact, a Drain Spear.
Do appreciate the decision to try to put the ghost fights off, since they are slower fights with 6 enemies that'll be throwing taking up time for those Fire 2 casts.
And Frankie headed to Toroya? Oh, to turn in the Twin Heart, of course.
And that was some yellow text. That was the Baron key, so Pankraz is in go mode.
Well, there we go. Now we know.
So Moon was not haunted because it did have the Adamant Rock, but beyond that, your likely fastest path to victory was just sticking to the blue planet in this seed. And that's great news for Pankraz, and frankiebones is now on the clock.
Technically speaking, because the White Spear Altar was not necessary, could have done objectives 3 through 8 and completely faded the moon entirely.
That is a good point.
I mean, the vanilla White Spear Altar is still probably at least less irritating than launching the Falcon, but whether it's faster or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. Probably ends up being a little bit faster, even with the long walk down. But yeah.
And Frankie about to give us some music as Pankraz about to curb stomp Rubicant. So we'll catch you in a minute. Once more, we don't get to hear the full loop of that song. Pankraz, meanwhile, took the Dark Elf out from the Barren Throne in style and found a duplicate Sid, a duplicate vanilla Sid.
As frankiebones claiming the Earth Crystal from the Twin Heart, the Cave Magnus, and also getting the objective off the board.
And probably will chase that since he's right there. Oh, maybe not.
I can appreciate that. Even with the incentive of doing the Flame Dog chest, you're at an hour and 42 minutes. You haven't seen go mode, and you just got a key item from an objective that you're assuming your opponent has likely done. I can see putting that off.
Pankraz, meanwhile, going down to the Barren Throne, which is another one of the objectives, while frankiebones opens the sealed cave and will find the tower key at the bottom of it. And we find first Mylon here, Mylon and friends.
Yeah, this fight will be more. This fight will be more annoying than it will be much of a threat for the party. The ones that Mylon will throw as a counter to every one of the party's attacks. Yeah, they're just going to take up time at this point.
Think he's worried about those 9 hit points of drain from the ghast?
Uh, you know, I think Pankraz is keeping and monitoring the situation, but likely is just going to press forward.
Be interesting to see what the key item is. Watch this be the legend sword. Nope, just another strength ring. Okay. There's
Oh,
the tower key for Frankie Bones. And Pankraz has 6 goals, which will give him the crystal, allowing him to transform Zeromus. And with that pass, be a very quick walk over to Troya to start the final fight.
as Pankraz makes the walk over to his way over to Troya, we'll see be able to answer a question that has bothered free enterprise runners time immemorial.
Yes, since Zeromus is far too dangerous to just be randomized and thrown out into the pool somewhere, instead of changing where Zeromus is, we change who he is and what he is, giving a randomized sprite from a collection of like 600 or 700 of them at this point. So the question that comes up in chat often and from commentators like us is, just whose butt are we kicking tonight?
Yes, will it be cute? Will it be scary? Will commentary have to ask chat for help for the reference?
That last one is almost certain with me on commentary.
And we've got the added we have the added difficulty of it being 12:30 in the morning, so
Frankie Bones taking out Calbrena and going to be able to leave the sealed cave, walk out with that tower key, probably to check that immediately. But Pankraz is starting in on the final fight, and right now this is Pankraz's seed to lose.
yeah.
Target's taking a little shake.
It says a lot it says a lot about your party's level when Edward has 1900 hit points. Our beloved bard does not get much as far as HP growth.
And Yang with the crystal. We see some true colors emerging. I suspect we'll see a Grarg. There it is.
True colors emerging because Zeromus is a huge fan of Cindy Lauper.
And there's Omegamus. And that one I do actually get.
I think this fight, this as rude as the Zeromus fight can be, this will somehow be this will be a little bit kinder than the usual Omega fight.
Omegamus having a little rattle there. Pankraz berserking his fighters. I think this will probably be pretty much no surprises here. I mean, Zeromus is always dangerous, much like those dragon fights. You can't take him lightly, but I don't think this one's going to be any surprises.
Yeah, no, getting the slow off, the nerf the Big Bang, make sure it'll lower the spell power of Zeromus, so still enough to take down Edward, unfortunately, but losing out in the 5,000 damage per swing that he was doing with that spoon. But yeah, just getting him back up, getting him back in the fight, as Frankie Bones is getting the pan. So
definitely odd to see someone taking the time to raise Edward in a Zeromus fight. But that spoon makes all the difference.
Well, the spoon and just the fact that Edward normally can survive those nerf Big Bangs. I think he got hit with the nuke counter, so he didn't.
Yeah, that's what happened.
He was lower than he normally would have been, but most of the time Edward just doesn't have the survivability. Has the damage output, just can't stay up during the fight. But this time he's he's very much ready for battle.
Yes, we get to see what Anna sees in the bard here. Other than the fact that he's a prince of a wealthy nation.
Pankraz using Berserker strats here, he's got 3 strong melee attackers and the ability to get them berserked up with the 2 white mages. So I think even getting getting a wall up either to protect Edward in the looking to reflect a white just for fun, speed up the fight a little bit more.
Frankie at the super cannon. We'll clear that objective off the list.
Mega Musk getting off a big bang at full power, but the party having enough stats to,
and that's that.
Yeah, tanks the big bang and just finish it off. There's the crack. There is the crumble. Pankraz has won and will advance in the round of 16. From the round of 16.
Good game, Pankraz.
Definitely GG's in the chat for Pankraz there. Excellent seed. And we are joined by the winner of this morning's race, Pankraz. Pankraz, congratulations on the win.
Hey, thank you very much, and happy time zone to you.
Thank you. So initial thoughts when you saw Edward as a hero?
I mentioned it a little bit chatting with Frankie in the race room, because he was mentioning last night's race about the whole fading antlion thing. He's like, I'm not going to do it again. Surely not. Only time will tell. And I just take a screen capture of the Edward hero. It's like, probably not. We're going there early. And I enjoy an Edward hero. I'm one of the weird ones like that. I like the fun of the agility situation that it brings and the like, and trying to make it finagle and work out. So I'm always a fan of it, even if it means it's going to be a much lower power start, especially when the Porum walks out as your partner. But we persevere, we make do, we find a Charm Claw Yang, and we start punching things.
That certainly seemed to be the plan of action.
So the big point of divergence between you and Frankie Pankraz was the fact that once you got that magma key from the last arm chest, you went ahead and attacked the underground, whereas Frankie made the commitment to the moon. You had both done the grind. You had gotten more than enough experience off the Mac Giants to make either option viable. What led you to the underground as opposed to taking out those lunar boxes and boss fights?
It was 2 big things. Number 1 was how much grind that I did, and number 2 was the magma key turning up. With my damage output, I didn't want to do a full thing, get Yang to power over punch, and so on. The gear situation wasn't great with long middle edge. I didn't have a black mage, so a moon clear didn't sound fast. It didn't sound friendly. It was going to be terribly inefficient and slow. So I ruled that out largely due to the experience, and then the magma key turned up, and basically I'm like, all right, I can either sit here, do the Magma Key, go back to Earth, I could go to the moon, I could do the hook route still, check Mad Ogres, knock out that objective. But I figured I'd go straight underground with the Magma Key, lean into that find in case, maybe Frankie doesn't do it, maybe Frankie's going down the hook route right now, something to that effect. To really lean into the Magma Key play. So picking it up, I'm like, all right, we're strong enough for Fey March. Let's go do Fey March, knock that out real quick. Fey March turns up a few things. We chase what the Fey March gives, and it continues leading to everything but the Baron Key.
Yeah, that ended up working out very well, especially with how empty that moon was overall. You did follow Frankie up to the moon after getting everything but either the Baron Key or the Forge turn-in that would have given you go mode. Your thoughts as you were starting to clear out those checks and going,
So big thing going up to the moon, or around 50-ish minutes, 55 minutes. I was sitting on 5 objectives in hand. I'm like, okay, where's this Baron Key, man? And thus became, it's at that point just a scavenger hunt. Any one-off check could find it. So some things will have to get skipped. Some things will have to not be skipped. You have to be comfortable living and dying by which ones you choose to do and or not do. So I figured going to the moon would be fine at that point. A little bit of density, continue chasing the objectives in case White Spear Altar is, Baron Key outright right up there. And then there's a few other just high profile things to do as well. I also hit 10 key items at that point, so I'm like, all right, well, you can supplement my, lack of gear with a little bit of extra XP up there. And, you saw my 1900 HP Edward. He would have had more if I didn't reset out of half a dozen things, but, time saves. And at that point, it's just find the Baron Key, wherever it is. I'm fading Ordeals at that point. I'm fading the Upper Babel Mad Ogres. I'm fading Dwarf Castle. I'm fading Sylph Cave tactically. I ended up skipping the Double Dragon Twins on the moon, both sets of them, because I didn't want to do that with already Porum. I figured that would be inefficient. So it's just a lot of... I picked a few things to skip over them, and an interest, or in the name of hunting down that Baron Key, and eventually it did turn up.
Yeah, you went right back there. I'm assuming chasing the density of the Sylph Cave, since that was making that the most preferable of the options at your disposal.
Partly that, partly, there is no Black Mage available unless there's one in Dwarf, so Sylph is going to be an off-putting check, and of everything I had left, it was the least dead. It was the most reasonable fade by both parties, so it could be that we both had it. Like Dwarf Castle, Ordeals, Upper Babel Mad Ogres with a hook route objective, and the Dragon Twins. I'm not going to go halfway down the moon for a 2-off check on the LST Miabs. That just sounds terrible. So Sylph seemed the best option of the bunch if I'm going to continue playing to my fates.
Well, it certainly worked out for you. You managed to pick the right ones to skip, and it shows in the time difference.
Yeah, and I'm also just thankful about the Darkness Crystal showing up in Antlion again, because it made me grumpy, so I opened the Carter Administration chest and got a Thunderclaw for my efforts, which proved extremely helpful.
I know we did see you make that check, and I was very pleased to see it pan out as well as it did.
All the grumpiness from the Darkness Crystal just kind of vanished. I'm like, oh, that's the best item that could ever be. All right, well, let's boogie. And then, I didn't go Mac Giant immediately. I spent 30 minutes messing around with experience and slingshots and being like, I want another party member.
Well, those blinks did it. Those blinks did help.
Oh yeah, poor him.
Make that a lot safer.
The goal was to get to Blink and, maybe pour him still in sling range after getting to Blink. Probably not. I'd need a lot more life glitches. But, I mean, we got Blink. That was the safety net I needed. And then I just needed a little bit of oomph. And so we did Evelyn, cleared up those checks, got some XP, and then went to town.
So you will be advancing from the round of 16. You will be going on to face the winner of the series between Rybon and Judge Joe. So,
looking forward
your
to
thoughts as you look ahead to the next round.
I'm looking forward to either of those matches. I think that they will both be incredibly fun and some good free enterprise play. Get my rematch against Joe from round 1 of Swiss, maybe. Or I get to face off against 2v2 partner in Rybon and let him actually have a shot at me, since he hasn't actually gotten to play me in a tournament race. He's been looking forward to that. So, on either count, it should be a fun time. It should be some primetime viewing, and I hope that my schedule can work out enough to give us at least a couple matches at reasonable hours.
Well, some of us are around even at unreasonable hours, so I'm sure.
Yeah, myself included.
I'm sure we'll get. I'm looking forward to whatever else we might see from you.
I'm glad to hear. I'm looking forward to it as well.
So,
any final thoughts on the seed, on the race, on the tournament, on the state of the world in general?
I won't comment on that too much. I mean, I'm just having fun, and I'm being extremely thankful for a few things. Got into a fun little car accident on Tuesday, so we're trying to make things work around things.
Oh, dear.
And, well, we're here, we're playing the game. I'm thankful for help. I'm thankful that we could work out a few matches between Frankie and I. I'm thankful that we put on a show. And I'm looking forward to continuing to play more of the game that I enjoy. Thank you all for putting on this restream and helping share that joy with others.
Well, we wouldn't have a restream to restream if you didn't have racers to race, so thank you for putting the show on for us.
Hey, anytime.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pankraz. Again, GG, congratulations on winning tonight's race and advancing to the round of 8. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all. I'll look forward to it, and have a great rest of the night. GG's again to all of you and to Frankie, and we'll see you around.
So while we have been talking with Pankraz, Frankie Bones has been making his way through the seed and is heading to the location of the Baron Key.
He did launch the Falcon, so, but otherwise there has been very little forward momentum here. We know where the Baron Key is, and we know from Pankraz's credits roll that the Legend Sword is behind the Mist Dragon, though we don't know where the Mist Dragon actually is.
I think the only locations we haven't seen are Dwarf 1. Yeah, the
Giant.
There's a tracker pointing out Dwarf 1, the Giant, the 2 bosses in the Giant, or the package. So, yeah, neither runner was very likely to find that Legend Sword unless they made a very, very fortunate aggressive play, especially if it was on the Giant.
Definitely, yeah.
I could have seen Frankie deciding to check the package and see who the character was and go from there. Perfectly reasonable decision not to, because it is a very long character check with no guarantee of a key item. So totally understandable for never checking that package, especially since it ended up with a pretty good party.
Yeah, for sure. Once you found that. Once you found Rosa, you had a full party to go, and then Edge to replace the Cid, and off they went. Both runners making the same decisions regarding their party.
Neither one really getting a lot of options on the way on their paths they took either. Saw a lot of duplicate characters on the way.
Yeah. In particular, there wasn't a black mage available to them until second Zot. The Earth Crystal only available behind the Twin Harp, which was in the Warrior chest in the Cave of Summoned Monsters. So, yeah, that's where Rydia was hiding. Was the second character Zot. And at that point, no one's going to take a level 1 Rydia after having done a Mach Giant grind. And Frankie going to get the news here. I think this is the chest with the Baron Key in it. I was wrong. That's the middle chest. Yeah, so it's the upper right chest that has the Baron Key.
Yeah, but one more Avenger for the road since we've gotten replace all the ones Frankie has thrown at whatever's in front of him.
And again, I feel it's worth pointing out, Frankie has not played badly in the least. Has made no bad decisions, just decisions that the seed has decided would not be the right ones. And put on a heck of a show for us in the meanwhile.
Absolutely. And as we discussed earlier, making very good use of what the game has given him as far as the characters and the resources, shaving off a lot of time from some of those lunar fights by just taking the piece of gear he got from the previous lunar fight and saying, I'm not going to need this.
just paying it forward, throw one sword at the next target.
Yeah, very good efficient use of everything. There is the Baron Key for Frankie Bones. That does, just not gonna bother the last check. Just going to go finish that up. So since we do have Frankie Bones in go mode, I can spoil a little bit. xPankraz went back and checked, and the Mist Dragon is at Dwarf 1. So.
Ooh. Yeah, and if a little bit of redistribution of key items, and we're seeing Frankie Bones as the winner, and we've got a game 3 on our hands. But that's not the way it worked out. Both runners played an excellent game, and unfortunately for Frankie, the items just weren't where they needed to be.
Yeah, like I said earlier, rando gonna rando. Both these runners played very well, very knowledgeable. Been doing this for a very long time. Just the breaks did not go Frankie Bones' way, which is unfortunate since this was an elimination game for him. Gonna see it end and at least finish out the seed here. So always appreciate that.
Yeah, if that Baron Key is in one of those dragon chests on the moon, though, this is a different game.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the fun of a randomizer.
As we talked about with xPankraz specifically chose to fade a lot of checks because the fastest check is the one you didn't do. So, obviously, both runners making the same decision on Dwarf 1, and it would have paid off. It would have paid off with the Legend Sword in this instance, but it's just the nature of the beast. You can do everything right and not get rewarded. So, Frankie Bones making very quick work of this Dark Elf.
and finding that vanilla Sid. We had some interesting vanilla moments in this one.
Yeah, I think we had the Earth Crystal at the Cave Magnus. We had Antlion in the Antlion Cave, if I remember correctly. So
That's correct, yeah. And Sid was there, and Young on Hobbs.
So there is the crystal for frankiebones, having completed the 6 objectives. So ready
And
to.
I imagine he'll head over to Toroya and close this out in style.
Yep, did get that pass. So just a matter of going over there and taking the very short walk as opposed to the more scenic route.
Edward at level 61.
That is a very strong bard.
Seeing a little adjustment in battle speed.
Yeah, just give himself that little bit of extra time, so to get those inputs in. I didn't see Edward's agility. That could be a consideration because if you're not near a Zeromus has anchor points as far as your hero's agility that if you're on or close to can affect how quickly he moves. So maybe respecting that a little bit. But as our restreamer Scar points out, at this level, you're not too worried about it. May actually have been a bit of just habit and muscle memory for doing that.
That Yang closing in on 6,000 hit points. Edward over 2,000. And Porum over 2,000. Rose at edge at 3.5. This should be a little bit more of an execution than a real fight, but
yeah, the boss music isn't for Omega Miss here. The boss music is for the party.
Again, we can never fully count out Zeromus, but this is about as close as you can get to reasonably counting out Zeromus.
Yeah, Jan with enough hit points to survive two max roll big bangs of 2600 HP, and then also taking a hit from the Meteo cast that Zeromus will do in his final phase. Yeah, that alone is the survivability is there.
And with with Edward and Young berserked and Edge throwing whatever he can get his hands on, here comes the first big bang. Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
It tickled a little bit.
Might do something to that Rosa, but no.
No, she was over the 1200 that the max roll for the nerf big bang could be, so she was pretty safe.
Porum just got berserked.
Well,
Are we going to see all 5 characters in berserk mode and just let this game play itself out?
I think that might have been a bit of a miss menu.
Yeah, I think that may have been a mistake since Edge is now attacking Porum.
Yeah, which it makes a lot of sense because that way Porum's just not taking up turns with that minimal damage, and there's the Zerg on edge. So yeah. Would have been fun to see a quit Zerk Zeromus fight here, but it's actually faster just not have Porum do anything else at this point.
Of all the equipment we found, we didn't see any heroin robes.
Yeah, that is one thing. We saw Artemis bows and Artemis arrows that would have been good weapons, but no heroin robes to really boost those stats up to make a melee, make either Rosa or Porum a melee attacks.
Now, I remember that Zeromus counters... I mean, I know he counters most magic with Nuke, and I remember that he counters summons with Weak. Now, does he have a special counter for White?
White is the weak summon, and full party virus cast is the summon counter.
Ah, yes, counter summons with virus. My bad.
Which can be very dangerous because while the Nuke cast lowers Zeromus's magic power, the virus cast raises it. So if you have an ill-timed summon cast, you can end up taking a even more powerful Big Bang.
And there's Meteo.
Yeah. This is definitely a situation where rocks fall, Omega Mist dies, there is the crack, there is the crumble. GG to frankiebones.
Well done.
Finishing out the seed at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Very well run.
Yeah.
Okay, and I am getting word that frankiebones has declined an interview, so, I'd like to say GG, again, excellently run race. It just, that moon was very sparse as far, it did not have the items that provide a clear path to victory, so, very well run.
Make the commitment, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but I'm sure we'll see more from frankiebones in future, and presented a very, very enjoyable race.
Absolutely, and so as we wrap up here, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you to you, Mike, for being the co-coms here tonight, Judge Joe for pushing all the buttons, and Scar for making sure that everything actually worked on the restream. That'll be it for us tonight. We're not going to be rating out, but we do have more free enterprise action later today.
Yeah, well,
we will have, especially, we have a very important Game 3, an elimination game for Flurry 14 and John Burkhead. That's going to be on RPG Limit Break tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
And thank you to you, Roddy. It's always a pleasure commentating with you, and to the runners for putting on a good show, and hopefully we'll see you all again before too long.
Yeah. Well, I will be seeing you all at 7 p.m. on today at RPG Limit Break, as I'll be back in the booth for that one.
Well, I look forward to it.
So, all right. Well, thank you all very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Again, GG to Pankraz, GG to frankiebones, and that'll do it for us. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night.